Hello, today is Wednesday, November the 9th, 2022, and it's Blue Rhythmic Eagle Day today. So we're on the 6th day of the White Dog Wavespell in the 52-day process of Red Earth. And we just had the full moon in Taurus yesterday, which was also a lunar eclipse, Taurus at 16 degrees, and lots of stuff going on around what is being illuminated around the moon story there, and the ancestral patterns, of course, with it being White Dog. So White Dog is the 10th mind sign, and I've been having a great White Dog week with some intense moments there as well. So he's actually partially white. Harry. We have been having a fun week this week. So this is Harry's full moon in terms of he's a Taurus. He was born back in April and he's 6 months old. So it's recognizing that what we began 6 months ago is now seeing the manifestation of what were you doing back in April and May 20th, around the 20th of April to around the 20th of May guideline, and what plans were you making and what have you manifested because of that. So remember, the whole 260-day cycle that we're in is about the manifestation. What is manifest now as a result of everything that came before? And the next 260-day cycle will be on the 3rd of February in 2023. So that will be in Aquarius. And so that really relates to today as well, with Blue Eagle being seeing the bigger picture, seeing the age of Aquarius coming in and looking at what we can focus on as a solution rather than keep doing the emotional drama. So a lot of drama can happen around full moons, and my experience over the past couple of weeks has been super, super dramatic, with lots of ghosts coming back, echoes from the past, behaviours in the holograph around ancestral patterning. And again, often these stories get bigger and bigger and bigger until we really pay attention to the message. What is the conflict going on there? What are the triggers? And so the more that we pay attention and the more that we work on the inner level to neutralize the trauma and the story and the trigger and what we've got used to over our lifetime, what our ancestors have got used to, then the more we can come out into the other side of life, the adventure, the magic, the being free. All our chickens are coming home to roost now as people showing us what's not in alignment with truth. And Scorpio in particular, being the 8th zodiac sign, is the place of integration. And so I did a reading for yesterday as to, I'm just looking it up because I took a photograph of it today. Yes, yeah, well, today. As to, there you go. That's really annoying. It turns around. Okay, so I don't know how to change that, but I know there is a way to do it. But we've got red serpents. So we go back to the previous 52-day cycle with all the Akashic record in the blue cycle around how we relate. Then that's the key, really, because it's all about how we've learned how to relate because of how people have related to us. So there we go. There's red serpent, which is the fifth mind sign, which is the key, the overtone to master. And the planets for red serpent are the asteroid belt. And so new consciousness coming into our zodiac natal chart, our star code, as I like to call it. You'll see new things coming in, new information beyond the usual planetary stuff. And there's some amazing work out there on asteroids that people are doing and creating new scripts to read about this and how they affect our dynamic. So the other cards that we got there were the Ace of Cups. The Lovers was the first card that I drew. So again, with the Lovers, it's about coming into balance within ourselves, masculine and feminine, rather than seeing it as a 3D version of who am I going to be in love with. You know, it's being in love with yourself first and then seeing how that reflects back out in the world. Who shows up in your life in relationship, in romantic relationship, around the challenges to understand how we've been programmed to believe relationships should be a certain way as a Hollywood movie. Interesting, we were watching the Downton Abbey film last night, and that's showing how the movie's changed from being just looking at an image of somebody and then moving into how so many of those stars disappeared because they didn't fit in once you could hear their voice and how they talked, and it didn't match the image that people had of them. So yeah, very interesting, isn't it? And so what we're learning about relationship, how it works, how we have been sold a story in terms of myths as well, mythology, for each part of our evolution. And navigating our way through that, you know, so cutting away through the enchanted forest and waking up sleeping beauty within us, not needing to be rescued by somebody else because that's codependent behavior. So we're now learning how to come into our natural state of being whatever that is. And as we release these layers and start to come more and more into authenticity, which is red moon, which white dog is twinned with because they both have Mercury as they're both together in the middle. And together. As they come more and more into being authentic and seeing that often our family patterns and what we've been told and what we've been living are not enlightened, illuminated ways of being for the human being. So Mercury is the higher self, the messenger from the gods. And of course, we've got Mercury is in Scorpio at the moment. So the message is coming through about what's healthy, what are our intimacy wounds where we felt unsafe. And let's just have a look in terms of what we've got on the ephemeris today. Bear with me. As always on the techie front. So we've got moon at 4 degrees of Gemini at the moment, which is, we're still in that full moon energy. And this is I see the bottom of my stairway to heaven, the structure of communication, what's truth, what isn't truth. Mercury's at 18 degrees of Scorpio, which is a gateway number. And so cutting through the drama, cutting through the emotional distortions as well. Sun's at 17 degrees, which again, add that together, you've got an 8 there, integration, big integration day. And Venus is at 22, Mary Magdalene code, master builder number. This Mars in Gemini, retrograde, I just downloaded a worksheet for that, and I'm working through, because this is big for me, this Mars. I mean, it's at 24 degrees today, but it has been at 25. That's hit my Jupiter. And so you can see how these transits hit certain planets. And my sun is in Leo at 25 as well. And we've also got Jupiter at 29 degrees of Pisces. So that's the anaretic magical degree. It's been there for a while now. Good boundaries, mastery of that. The planet for Blue Eagle is Jupiter. So wherever you've got Jupiter, it's another way to look at that is everything will expand in terms of pushing your triggers, pushing your buttons, pushing you towards a space where you're going to make a change, ideally. Otherwise, you know, you're going to be crushed as this huge energy cuts a swathe through human behavior. So we've got to get with the program, and the program is Uranus, 16 degrees of Taurus, which was the full moon as well. And so this is a time for really seeing what's manifest. Scorpio time of the year. What's here from the ancestors? What am I holding? What am I repeating? What echoes are there? What's imprinted on me? How am I experiencing emotional conflict? What's my holograph showing me? And most importantly, then, how do I start to clear it? So we began, as I said, 6 days ago. So we are here now in the Yellow Castle, Manifestation Castle. And so we're going back to White Dog here, the 10th mind sign, the heart's desire. The 10th house is to get clear. So in the traditional zodiac, that's Capricorn, do the work, be the disciple, be the little goat, climbing up the mountain, taking every day on its own merits, see what shows up, do the work, and climb. And then we had on day 2, we had the lunar story that came up with Blue Monkey when we were right in the center, our childhood emotional story, what was happening for you on that day. And then on day 3, we had Yellow Electric Human. So again, being the alchemy within human being on planet Earth. And day 4, we had an Akashic record, Red Self-Existing Skywalker. So that was going back to the previous 52-day cycle and how we learn how to create heaven on earth. And often we learn the most when we're going through our hell experiences. So to be self-existing is to be free, emotionally free, free of doing the drama, and understanding what creates heaven for us on a collective level, truth, authenticity, letting go of manipulation, codependency, people-pleasing, bullshit, and more of that. Facing our fear and understanding what beliefs we have, maybe how they're limiting us in some way. Who did we learn those beliefs with? And how do we start to embody beliefs that really serve us, that are healthy for us, that are free of self-sabotage, you could call it, or, you know, how am I shooting myself in the foot? Why do I keep doing that? Here I'm doing that again. Often because these addictions they feel so powerful in the body. You know, like sugar, for example, it feels so amazing. If I don't do this addiction, I can't fit in with my friends. If I step out of my comfort zone, who would I be? People wouldn't like me. I don't know who I would be if I didn't do X, Y, Z. I can't change the or challenge the status quo in some way. And I know a lot of you are in a position where you have a lot of opposition right now to your beliefs because you're walking a different path to the majority of people. So when we live in an urban area or a city or somewhere where we're around a lot of people or in a community, then it can be very challenging when we have opposing views to the majority. And now we're really starting to see that there's a lot of uncomfortable truth coming out about what's happened in the past couple of years and how people have been behaving towards each other as well during that time around these different belief systems. So again, this can often be very, very similar to childhood, you know, bullying issues, being different to mainstream people having different belief systems, etc. And this will go right back in time ancestrally, past lives as well. So we're seeing the culmination of it all. Tomorrow we've got another Akashic Record Day, which is Yellow Resonant Warrior. And so again, another day tomorrow, which will probably show us quite a lot of what's going on. But yesterday was a very important day. So coming back to that. So white overtone wizard. And one of my friends, that was her birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, lovely. And she follows the planetary pattern. So anybody who is a red moon, a white wizard, a blue storm, or a yellow seed has a planetary energy. And every year on the 26th of July, we go into a different planetary energy with all of these patterns. There is a 20-day process. And there's also a 20-year process, I guess. So that's just popped into my awareness as I've said it. And there's also a 13-year, 13-day process to run as well. And we're in a 13-year planetary process that begins on the 26th of July every year. This one began in 2019, and it follows on from one that began in 2006. So again, you can start to use these very practically, which is, you know, what Taurus is all about. Taurus moon feels great. This really practical earthy energy. We can follow this as to what was happening for me during that time. Raise your own personal consciousness around your patterns, your experiences, and then how to work with that, because then you'll know why things are happening to you at a certain time of year. So if you've got big emotional events, and hey, who hasn't, around Christmas, for example, around when you had your children, around a very big death event in the family. This is all running underneath. This is like, you know, the iceberg underneath that is determining how we are functioning today. And the more that we get in touch with that and bring it back to the surface, we can melt off using very practical grounded techniques. Emotional freedom technique, the movie technique will show you where your stuff is on a daily basis, triggers. This work needs to be on a daily basis. And locating these emotional events. Even if you think that you don't know where they are, there's a part of you that does. And the more you train yourself, the more you can work with that energy, release it, your life will change magically. So yesterday is going to be the new year, beginning on the 26th of July, 2023. So yesterday, remember, all of this is a fractal. All of this, every day, this is the magic and wonder of it. All of these days, you can plot your own code, and that's what I've done for myself and what I do with my clients. And then you can highlight and illuminate and see where you have got transformation potentiality, and your life becomes so empowered because of that. So, of course, White Overtone Wizard yesterday is a fractal, and it will be coming up as a full year on the 26th of July. So we got a preview show of it yesterday. Now, if you look at what happened to you yesterday, you can see in every moment there will be flickers, there will be something there in the movie reel of that day that's going to show up for you in the full year next year. Now, in terms of this particular, how it's a fractal of this particular 13-day process, so remember, when we start off in a white, on day 5, it's going to be a white, and on day 9, it's going to be a white, and then on day 13, it's going to be a white. So this one takes us through what our ancestral patterns are and how to connect to the Sirius star, our soul journey, why we've chosen to come here at this time to clear these codes. The mastery day is how to master being self-empowered, let the magic flow through us, and refinement. And for you in your 13-year processes, your white one is your refinement process. So it will be showing up all your empowerment issues. And then on number 9, we have White Solar Mirror, which is the gateway. How do we release all the distortions, Neptunian delusions and illusions, and start living with a sword of truth? And then up to the top, so we've got White Cosmic Wind. So how do we make this shift so that we align with our spirit on board, our higher self, and also, however you see that, the consciousness of the universe that's creating all these patterns that we are a part of. And the more we get clear of these emotional, conflicting, constricting, drama, out of balance, power imbalance process, the more that we can flow with the dynamic, free of being stuck in these old places where our ancestors got stuck and maybe still are stuck. We're freeing ourselves up. And in doing that, we're also changing everything on a DNA cellular level when we're doing this inner emotional clearing, freeing our amygdala as well. So that's why I showed you the cards for yesterday. And so, yeah, such an amazing, powerful day. And if you track your code, once you've done 52 years on the planet, you've got all your code and you're just going to repeat them as a Mayan elder. And so this code for me is beginning when I was 31. And so that's when I became a mum. And well, I became a mum for the first time in 1995. So that would be 1996. Okay, so I can then, what I do is I create ebooks for myself and I write down these codes. And then every time you're going over them, which is every 52 days, then you can really connect to that energy and you can start to go deeper and deeper. And you're training your mind to open up and reveal to you your own personal mystery. And that's the magic of it. Okay, so 31, 32, 33, 34. So when I was 35, so 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, so the new millennium as it was. I remember the hype about what was going on back then. We didn't know whether the computers were going to work. You know, it was such a different world back then. And today, of course, is 2001, which huge events happened in New York on that day and changed the world forever, really, around. Never seen anything like it, had we? You know, where we've got media as well and the ability to watch it and what happened as a result of that. And then seeing how that echoes today and seeing how lots of things around that have expanded as well, as to what beliefs were created at that time and how people's behavior has changed because of that. So you can use this and then continue each day to plot your own personal trajectory. And also, the more consciously aware that you become of this and the clearer that you get, you can really start to be centered and focused on what you want to create for the future based on today. So doing this work, getting emotionally clear and free, changing belief systems about yourself primarily that are limitless instead of limiting, grounded, practical, and emotionally freeing as we become more and more independent, interdependent rather than codependent, and seeing from a different perspective. So you're not coming from that place of conflict and shut down and fear. Basically, it's all about fear, isn't it? Then we can start to work with what downloads we're getting from the universe, from our higher self, however you choose to see that, that is free of any problematic, codependent distortion as well. And that is the 13-day process that we're in. And of course, the next process that we're going to be going through then is the conscious dreamer code following on from this. So again, the more that we work with red earth, what ungrounds us, what's coming to light with Uranus, what is busting through our belief systems, showing us, hang on a minute, it's not what you think. This again is this Mars in Gemini going retrograde. So it's about communication. It's about understanding how to co-create rather than codepend, and how to overcome intimacy issues rather than live in a way that's out of alignment with love our whole lives, because maybe we got scared as a child around family dynamics. Maybe we had, for example, I had a very large character in terms of the patriarchy, my grandfather. You know, that was the first big death that I experienced, really. How that affected me, what behaviours I had after that. You know, once you've lost somebody who you really love, who's so big in your life, how do you trust life again? I was doing a tapping workshop yesterday, and so many revelations coming up there as I'm tapping on things. And this is what happens. The more you tap, the deeper you go, the more revelations you have on a personal basis. And that's the most important focus. You know, people get so lost as a distraction in everything else, everyone else outside there. And that's the ego's way of not looking at the pain, not feeling it. And of course, that's perfectly understandable if you don't have a tool to use and you're codependent on a health professional, for example, or you're in a space where you're dependent on somebody else for everything, you know, like a child, even though you're a grown up, which many people are, or you're dependent on your job. The thing is, though, it is all about our inner world. And the more we become an expert on how to change the inner world, we've got the tools now. We know that it works. If you start doing EFT every day, believe me, it'll blow your mind because your world will change. And I'm living proof of that. You know, I've been doing EFT now since 2007, and it's helped me every single day. It's helped me help other people. I've passed it on, and I'm passionate about passing it on because anyone and everyone can do EFT. It's not rocket science, and it's amazingly powerful. So, you know, it's a bit of a paradox. So over this 13-day period, you can focus on what's showing up for you around your inner dog, your trigger points, that emotional part of you which we share with dogs. And just fascinating to be with my puppy and watch him playing with other dogs. So he's been doing that this week for the first time. He's been out there on the field interacting with other dogs, all different shapes and sizes. And then what he experiences, you know, sometimes it's knocked his confidence a bit with the bigger dogs. It just made me think of all the experiences in my life. He likes to run out and play. He likes to come back and hide behind us, you know, when he needs that bit of extra support. And how often have we felt supported in life, you know, from being a child? How many experiences have we had where our confidence has been knocked, or we haven't known how to be? We've been told one way to be by our parents, for example, and then we've had a very different reality out at school or playing in the village, and nothing has changed in terms of how that dynamic works now on many levels. Still experiencing the same things. There are still some people who behave in a very abusive, narcissistic, and controlling manner, and who have no idea that there's anything wrong with that. You know, and the more that I study how the mind works and I experience in the field how people interact, nothing is changing in many respects for the majority of people. And some people are really changing, and some people are really making a difference for themselves on the inside. I'm going to be putting something together in the future, not sure on the date yet, but looking at the calendar now. So I may do something once we start getting into this space. This will be the last 52-day process of Red Moon, and it will be preparing us for the next cycle in February next year. So depending on how my own holograph is working out, because I've got a lot on at the moment, I will look potentially, so I'm putting that out there today, that I will be launching something at the Red Moon 52-day cycle. So basically we've got the rest of this, and we've got, so that, what's that, 26 days. So it's just over a month, really, before we go into the Green Castle. So if you'd like to know more, if you're interested in this very dynamic work, the focus will be on emotional freedom technique, as always. And also, I will bring in star codes to help us identify where we're at, what cycle we're on, and as much information as possible to guide us. But the key focus has to be on the emotional clearing, because that works. That changes the holograph, it changes the inside, it heals the heart, which is what White Dog is all about. Unconditional love and clearing whatever residue we're still holding on to that's hurt our heart, that's broken our heart, and is holding us in a space of being stuck around that energy, because the universe keeps bringing it for us so we can create a solution. And as I said, we've got everything that we need now. So lots of love. Hope you're having a great time. And I know a lot of you are watching you on social media. You seem to be having some great breakthroughs. And I know a lot of you have been through a hell of a time. I think everybody's been through a hell of a time over this past couple of years. So I know we've got to go through this to come out the other side. There's no avoiding it. And so the more that we do this inner work, the more that we will change, and then the world will change. And that is the order of things. Lots of love. Bye for now.